Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the East Lindsey series. This is the biggest district in Lincolnshire, containing 188 civil parishes. Without further ado, here's today's offering. Welcome back to East Lindsey, everybody. We're right on the northeast Lincolnshire border here. Now I'm standing at the entrance to a hall, which is a footpath. I can walk down there, that's absolutely no problem. But annoyingly, I can't take my car down there because that sign over there says no unauthorised vehicles. So that's a bit of a shame, because there is a nice landmark down there in this episode, which I would have liked to have seen, but it's a long walk and I haven't got that amount of time. However, I can tell you about that in today's special section, so that'll be coming later. This is going to be an interesting one because I'm going to have to use the car a lot in this episode. I can't really walk around this place. It's too spread out and, you know, too rural to do that. We've seen ones like this before. Welcome to Wyham CUM CADEBY. The East Lindsey series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles, 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop, located at 20 Ropery Road, Gainsborough, or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Alright, time for another East Lindsey parish which is going to use the car a lot. Just off the A18 to the west of Ludborough, you'll come to the tiny parish of Wyham CUM CADEBY. It's made up of two settlements which are virtually non-existent, or at least that's what the untrained eye would have you believe. The parish's population is tiny, less than 100 people live here, and population figures are recorded with those of Ludborough. Both Wyham and Cadeby are depopulated villages, which have long since been abandoned, and the whole area is littered with earthworks. Wyham was the bigger of the two villages and was thought to be a place of great antiquity. Its name means in Old English a heathen temple. There was once a medieval nunnery here too, which had fishponds and farm buildings. Wyham CUM CADEBY also occupies an area which was once important for salt mining too. What few houses and properties lie within the modern parish boundaries are generally termed Wyham. These include a handful of farms, a small tree-related business, and the Wyham Motor Park, which is a bike track. As for Cadeby, which is sometimes referred to as North Cadeby just to confuse the issue a bit, that occupies a small section of land away to the northwest. It might be smaller, but it does have the biggest landmark out here, the 18th century Canterbury Hall. So this one's a car job. Let's start our engines, guys. Let's get Canterbury Hall out of the way first. If you were to follow on foot the track where I began this video, you'd come to the hall. It's a small country house set in a modest-sized area of parkland. It sits in a secluded valley and was built in the early 18th century as a dower house for the Heanages of Hainton. For a long time, Canterbury Hall was empty and partly derelict. However, now it's been restored back to its former glory. In the 1980s, it was in use as a shooting lodge. Now splendidly refurbished, it boasts a modern extension built on the site of a now demolished rear wing. There's not really much of a history to the place other than that. The hall is easily visible from the public footpath, but it's not a place many people will have ever come across. It's a real hidden gem of a place. It was once described by writer Henry Thorold as a sleeping beauty house. How about that for a description, eh? To the south of Canterbury Hall is the deserted medieval village of North Cadeby. This image here shows you the extent of the settlement, with the position of the hall marked in yellow. Now we're heading for what remains of Wyham via a small track off the A18. Unlike Cadeby, we can drive part of the way up this road. On both sides of us there are countless areas of earthworks, including mounds and ditches and enclosures, some of them wooded. Wyham was quite a sizable village by all accounts. The modern village has a few isolated farms, farm buildings and houses, and All Saints Church too. That can be found at the top of this drive. A small church made of chalk rubble and ironstone blocks, it originally dates from the 13th century. It was restored by James Fowler of Louth in 1886 before being declared redundant in 1982. It's since been sold off privately, so we can't go inside. We can, though, still have a look at it. So having told you about the church, there it is behind me. Now it's a private residence these days. As you can see, that's a private drive just there. I don't know whether it is actually still public access for the graveyard, but I imagine it will be, because there are still obviously some graves in there. You probably have to have some kind of permission from whoever lives in there now, one would have thought. So yeah, that's the church anyway. I've shown you that. And also, while I'm here, I'm going to show you the view I can see in the other direction. If I just turn the camera around, look at this. This ain't half bad. Nice clear daylight today as well. You can see for absolutely miles. I'm not even sure in the very far distance I can see the sea actually. Might be able to, because we're very close to the coast here. Grimsby's over there. In fact, yes, I can see the sea. I can see the sea over in this kind of direction here. But yeah, it's a long way out. Let's move on to the next part. Here's the A18, which flanks the parish to the east. No part of this road is in Wyham CUM CADEBY. This defines Ludborough's western boundary. Our next landmark is a small business off Salters Lane. That would be Green Cuts, which occupies Chalk Farm. Giving them their technical name, they are arboricultural landscapers. I think that's a fancy way of saying they're tree surgeons. The company are carbon neutral. For every tree Green Cuts has to remove, they plant 2 more, in and around their sites across Lincolnshire. They also recycle any waste wood where possible, and any wood chip that's generated here is used to form compost, which is farmed back into the local land. From here it's a case of following Salters Lane. Salters, by the way, is a reference to the ancient salt mines in this area, the workings of which can still be seen as mounds in some of the fields. This is the other end of the road into Wyham. This one, though, doesn't allow any unauthorised vehicles. Such is the size of this one, it feels like I've only just begun, yet I'm at the last landmark, which is Wyham Motor Park, right on the western boundary with Binbrook. Here it is. Now this is a bike track, as you can see from this sign. It's a bike track, but it's closed until further notice, so there won't be any bikes making their way around this anytime soon. I'll tell you what though, if they do, they've got a cracking view from here. If you thought the view near the church was good, this is even better. Obviously I can't go any further than this gate, but I can see the view from the top of this hill, and it's absolutely amazing. It's fantastic. So yeah, Wyham CUM CADEBY. It's a tiny piece of the East Lindsey countryside, but an interesting one, isn't it? It's an interesting one, you know. You can't really walk around it unless you're a hiker. I imagine, you know, footpaths running through it. There's plenty of footpaths that run through it. I imagine people do walk through it all the time. But there isn't really much to see. There isn't really much to get your teeth into. Doesn't mean it hasn't got any history though, because I've certainly covered a bit of that in this episode. Time for me to move on to the next one. Haven't really got very far to go. Just follow this road really, and it'll take us out of WYHAM CUM CADEBY and into the next one. From here, it's a nice drive across the wolds to the next village. The undulating hills offer some pretty impressive scenery, and all that is yet to come your way. The next parish in the series is one I've been looking forward to for a long time. Come back next week to see what that is. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.